Hi Clarry, thank you so much for doing this interview with ClusterView. My name is Jack Garner and I'm a grassroots football coach.
Pleased to meet you, Jack.
You were a youth team coach at Crystal Palace. Did you get lucky or was it a difficult journey getting to your position?
I don't think I got lucky. I think it's a question of working hard, yes, and making that luck. Sometimes they say the old adage is, if the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yes.
I think it was that was the question, is that I was working really hard, and people might say I was lucky, but when I reflected on it, I'm thinking, I've worked hard for this.
Can you give me an example?
Right,
of
okay.
you worked hard?
Where I worked hard, for instance, I started coaching really in a primary school.
Okay.
Yeah, I must say, and I hope their teacher's not watching this. I did it for nearly 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, the teacher didn't even give me a cup of tea. I didn't realise till afterwards that at least she should offer me something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I loved it so much. I didn't realise till maybe 10 years after the event, so to speak, that, hang on a second, they're taking me for granted, but I love doing it so much, yes. And then from there, again, I stand there minding my own business, telling my son, he's like an under-7s footballer, telling my son, do this, do that. Next thing you know, they've asked me to become his coach.
Okay.
And the incredible thing was, his team, all his mates, they just intelligent kids. They just take on information, and they became a phenomenal team. The first little tournament we entered when they were 7 years old, yeah, there were 12 of them. They played each other in the final. Can you imagine that?
That's brilliant.
What a start. And they never looked back. Thereafter, 4 Surrey Cups. And then we had a tour in America when they were like 13. And they threw us out of Surrey Cup because we couldn't play a game. We switched to the London FA. Then they're having like 4 London Cup finals and so on. But a lot of people say, how did you do it? And I'm thinking, we train hard. When people resting in the summer, we'll still be training. And when they're training once a week, we train twice a week. And when a lot of parents having downtime, we are having a pre-season tour, little kids in Torquay, getting fit for the forthcoming season. So it wasn't surprising that they were really good, because they worked hard, I worked hard. But the good thing about all this, I know it's a long answer, but the good thing about this, I'm so lucky that I've got supportive family, my wife in particular, because all these tours, everywhere we went, she came with me. And guess what? Because my wife were always with me, I never shared accommodation with the boys.
Yeah.
And I think that, in hindsight, that was an incredible thing, because thereafter, with all the DBS, you start learning about paedophiles and so forth and all the rest of it, yeah? So all these things that came naturally to us, it's led us in the right path to further success, if you like. And like I said, these boys, when they got to 12 years old, we played at Crystal Palace Football Club in a friendly. We beat him 2-1. And I don't know if you've heard Steve Coppell.
No,
Steve Coppell is the ex-manager of Crystal Palace Football Club.
Okay, yes.
He's a Manchester United legend. He played 57 times for England, yeah, and he was like I said, but he got injured when he was 29 years old.
Okay.
Somehow he ended up at Crystal Palace. At the time when I met him, he was the director of football, yes, and we played up at Chipstead Football Club around the 12s, and we beat them, and he came up to me. He says to me, Clarry, you know you're really loud and you play every ball. I can't do that. Would you think about coming and join me in the academy at Crystal Palace Football Club? And guess what? I played it cool. My legs were shaking underneath the table. I'm saying to myself, this is Steve Coppell. He's playing 57 times for England. He's a legend of Manchester United. He's asking me to join him. Well, guess what I said? I think about it. Of course, the answer was definitely yes. Yeah, well, exactly. There was no opinion. And quite frankly, I gave up a lot, because I earned, everywhere you go, if you work hard enough, you will earn good money.
Of course.
But can you imagine getting paid for your passion It's an incredible thing. It's almost like a pop star who's singing all day long, singing in the bath, singing it everywhere, and then all of a sudden he's getting paid thousands. To me, having a small wages at Crystal Palace was like
being a pop star.
Exactly. All of a sudden, I'm getting paid for something I do for nothing, which I did. I did it for 5 years at school, not even a cup of tea, like I said. And all of a sudden, I'm getting paid for something I really love. I used to work for Barclays Bank. And to be doing a job I loved as a kid, doing something I loved as a kid was just phenomenal. It's almost like a dream come true, yeah? And the funny thing is, life is strange, but sometimes you've got things in your mind. I remember taking my children to Crystal Palace. They shared the ground with Charlton at the time. Okay. And all my family, they support Liverpool because of one player, John Barnes. He's Jamaican. Every Jamaican supported Liverpool because my dad's Jamaican. We all supported Liverpool and so forth. Yeah, and I took my children to see Charlton against Liverpool. They were in the top division then. I can't remember if it was Premiership time. I doubt it. And I saw all the people over by the dugout and stuff, and I was saying to myself, "It's the strangest thing." I was thinking to myself, I should be there, you know. I wish I was there. I should be there. And I think within 6 months of me thinking about that, not mentioning anybody else, Palace gave me a special little seat. It's almost like Clarry's seat, and it's just by the dugout. I wasn't in the dugout, but I had a seat.
But it was near.
It couldn't be any closer to the dugout. You can see everything that's going on. Yeah, all the whispers, all the managers, all you think's going to go on, and all the rest of it, yeah? It was incredible. But sometimes when you put your mind to something, it just happens. I don't know. And that's not the only thing that has happened where you're thinking, I wish I should be doing that, I could be doing that. And you put it in the back of your mind, but it really can come through if you think about it hard enough and perhaps work towards it. But unintentionally. Yeah. I didn't go out thinking I want to be a Palace. Exactly. But before you know it, I had my own little seat by the dugout.
Oh, that's brilliant. A very humble answer.
Thank you. I just want to get the record straight as well. It's important. I did the under-12s for a while in the academy and so on, yeah? But most academy coaches, they might only have 2 full-time jobs for maybe 2 people. Yeah. Because majority of the time, all the children are at school. Yeah, so they gave me a full-time job in the Palace community, and for a while I combined both. Yeah, where I'll be working for the academy, working for the footballing community as it was then, full-time, and then in the evening I'll be working with the academy and so forth in the evenings. Yeah, but to be fair, that didn't last very long. I enjoyed, like you say, it's humble, but I enjoy being football in the community so much. It was unbelievable. All these little kids, perhaps children who've got nowhere to go, we provide in at Crystal Palace. We provide a little home for them. Yeah. And it's just like their passion. You ignite their passion, and they're looking forward to seeing you every week. And this is like proper grassroots football. Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm not coaching them now to be professionals.
You're coaching them to be a person.
Exactly.
Would you say you built proper relationships with the children?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of them now, it's incredible that, especially in Croydon, when I go shopping, when I'm with a wife, everywhere I go, there's always one person will come up at least, even like 20 years after the event. Clarry, don't you remember me? And so forth. And I always say, look, listen, I'm still Fat Clarry. That's how I describe myself. I'm still Fat Clarry, but guess what? You've grown into a beautiful person. All the girls I used to coach and so forth, I said, how do you expect me to recognise you? You've grown into... And to be fair as well, you have to be so careful what you say, especially to young people, because some people just get it the wrong way. If you tell a young girl who's 15 years old, oh, you've grown into a lovely, beautiful person, all of a sudden they're thinking, what's wrong with him? Why is he telling me I'm beautiful for? Yeah. I just say, you're turned into a beautiful person. So that means it could be just your heart as well, not necessarily your features.
Brilliant. I'm a young coach in this modern era, and coaching has become more regulated and the standards have been raised. Would you think this is a good thing for the sport?
Absolutely, the best thing. For a start now, nobody can get through the gate, so to speak, without DBS. Sometimes you just get anybody who living their dream through other people, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah? But first of all the standards, all the documentation that you need even before you're a coach, and even passing your badges is such hard work now. I remember one time doing what they call UEFA B, and I was at that time I had my own little Crystal Palace a vehicle and stuff, and I was coming home, everywhere hurt, my knees were hurting everywhere, and I was saying, I'm not going back tomorrow. I'm not going back tomorrow. This is too painful. This is not what I signed up for. But you do. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, it's all worth it. All the pain, what you go through, all the paperwork that you need now to be a young coach. I mean, like yourself and so forth. I think it's definitely worth it, and it's safeguarding the children. When I first started, when I reflect on it, I thought it was incredible. I used to meet a group of children, turn up, coach them, say goodbye.
And then that was it.
That was it. And now, I'm the last to leave. I do not one child leave unless I'm happy that they're with their parents and so forth, yeah? Or even have to sign for them and so forth, yeah? But everything that is the most important factor is ensuring the safety of the children. To me, that's the most important change, yeah? I would just turn up, kids come down, give them a good session, enjoyed it, yeah. See you later.
See you next week.
Why have I left all these kids behind? Where does the coaches always in a hurry get off? Now, I'm the last to leave.
First one to be there, last one to leave.
And I'm not happy until every child has been collected and so forth. And then I think that in the modern era as well, you need to be listening to children more.
Yeah.
Before, right, you'll have a laugh with them and so forth, but I felt a lot of the older coaches didn't used to listen to children. No. And when you see a child hanging around and so forth, they're not hanging around because they've got nowhere to go. Sometimes you just want to have a quick word, and you've got to be open and encourage them to have a quick word.
Of course.
Yeah, the coach these days, to me, you have to be a warm person where children gravitate towards you and so forth. Yeah, the worst thing is being a coach and a child don't want to talk to you. Yes,
because you don't want to be shut off. You want to be able to.
Yeah.
You want to allow them to talk to you.
And you want to be all inclusive, and anybody can talk and have their say.
Is there any? Would you like to share any stories that you have had conversations with children?
Well, there are various conversations, but the majority of the conversation is always regarding, oh, nobody passes to me and so on, and all the rest of it. And then you have to go through about creating space and all so forth. And then if you create enough space and you don't get the ball, if I'm your coach, I will stop the game and give you the ball, that sort of thing. But my best real story is the bravery of some parents, because these days it's like children power. Children's got so much power, and that's unbelievable. They don't do anything without their parents say, oh yeah, you'd like to do this, yeah, I've had a word with him, he can do it, and what have you. I met one parent who I thought, this is a real sign of power. Her son didn't want to play football. Yeah, she thought he was always in trouble. Yes, but he needed something to occupy him. Besides, to escape and so forth. Because he's only like 6 years old, but he's constantly in trouble. He's either talking too much, or in class he's disturbing the others. So his mum thinking that perhaps football might help him. Yes, so his mum brought him along. He cried his eyes out. Yeah, I said, I'll just wait over there for me a minute then. But mum was brave. She's gone. She, it's almost like tough love. Yeah, she's gone. Second week, same thing. He cries his eyes out. He don't want to stay. She's left him with me and so forth. Third week, I throw the ball at him. Guess what? He threw it back. And then before you know it,
A little bit of improvement every
I
time.
kick the ball at him, he's kicking it back, yeah? And then I think 6 years down the line, he's playing for Croydon Schoolboys.
Oh, wow.
And then we're having a laugh. I said, oh, Patrick, do you remember when you just cry your eyes out because your mum left you to play football? Look at you now, playing for Croydon Schoolboys. You want to be playing for Palace and all the rest of it. That's ambition. To me, that's a success story. And where the bravery of that mother to leave the child with us. And then it almost turned his life round at school. All of a sudden, he's got that passion, something to look forward to. He wants to play football and so forth, yeah? And then you can almost blackmail her with it. If you don't behave yourself, you will not be seeing Clarry on Wednesday or Saturday morning, yeah? And it worked a treat. Because now that's his passion. That's the most important thing to him.
That's what he looks forward to during this week.
That's right. But I'm saying to me, that's one of the most successful stories. And then so there you go. But to me, you know, my son's friends. Remember I told you how that team started? Yeah. One of the most incredible things, yeah, is that you never see it these days. They started with me 7, 8 years old, yeah? And we, 8 of them were still together, age 24. We were playing semi-pro football. I'm giving them £60 a game. And we've been together like 16 years. It will never happen again, yeah? And then the other day, I'm taking it easy, a nice, warm, sunny afternoon, bang, bang on the door. All these big men start marching through my house, one after another, giving me a beer hug and everything. I'm thinking, bloody hell, all these people, yeah? And I think, I recognise him. And then it's like these boys I used to coach, they're like 35 years old now, and they will come to visit, yeah? And we sat in the garden, we were reminiscing and all that. To me, that's a success story. I'm getting choked. It's such a good story. I'm getting choked. It's such a good story. And they want to keep in touch. And they want to pay back. And to me, I'm the toughest coach there is. I'm shouting nonsense. I'm screaming at the ref, even my own ref. But emotional things, stories and words, they get to me, yeah? When somebody does things passionately or say things, passionate words, that's what gets me.
Yeah.
And those kids turning up 30 years later to come and see me, incredible. That's what got me. You might have to cut this out.
It's beautiful, I'm not cutting out at all. Amazing.
That's the most beautiful thing. You see me on the side, oh, I wish he would shut up. Oh, he gets on my nerves.
It's all emotion.
But they don't know the secret of literature and words and people doing good. That's what gets me.
Brilliant. Oh wow, amazing stuff. So seriously, that's so beautiful. And that's the connection that we want for young people. That's what they miss out. They haven't got their father figures with them. Do you know what I mean? A lot of time you become their father figure.
And I've got to add as well, some of these boys were turning up in their Porsche.
Wow.
Yeah, I walked them back to the end of the road because they didn't want to spoil the surprise. So they parked like I live in a little cul-de-sac, and they parked the thing. There were Mercedes, Porsche. It made me, because, okay, it's material things, but sometimes it's a sign of success.
Of course.
Yeah, and you want to see that. That was great to see.
Oh, brilliant. My career as a football player suffered due to injury. Due to the high tempo of the modern game, do you think this will be a concern in youth football?
It is a concern, but I think that the coaches and all the people working at a reasonably high level, and they're really sensible now with all the physios and people giving you good direction. I remember as a kid, maybe 11 years old, 12 years old, I can't remember now. Yeah, and you heard of Osgood Slattery's?
Yes, so I suffered with both of that in my knees, and I suffered with cartilage damage, and I suffered with a broken ankle.
Well, there you have it. I was the first to admit it in my team. Those days, nobody cared.
Yeah.
You know, just get on with your job. Yeah, I would go to school, I could not walk, but I would play a game. And not only play a game, I'm 12 years old, I'm playing for under 14s. They were calling in the intermediates. I'm playing practically 2 years above. And I could just about walk to school. God knows how I've played in the game. But when the whistle goes, the pain goes. Then after you finish, you can hardly walk again, yeah? But I remember distinctly saying, oh my goodness, I can't even kneel down because the pain, when you hit that spot, it's so tender.
Right under the knee,
when you kneel down, the pain was horrendous. I was the first one to say that in my team. And guess what? At least 9 out of 11 had the same problem.
Do you believe that's because of the 3G pitches now, it being too hard?
Not necessarily. I'm talking about when I was a kid, we didn't have 3G pitches. You've heard of Hackney Marshes?
Yep.
I came from the East End. That's where we played our football. It's fantastic because guess what? Home games at the Marshes, away games at the Marshes. Everybody knows where you should be in every time. Yeah. And to be fair, there was no AstroTurf or anything like that, and we still had that injury. So we can't blame that one on all these modern pitches and so forth. We had all these injuries. But the important factor is now, I know at Crystal Palace, as soon as any of the kids came forward with this Oscar type thing, they have 6 weeks off and it disappears. It works. Well, I played for it in my life, and I can honestly say I've had that problem. As I'm talking to you, I'm feeling it. It's still there.
Still there.
It's still there.
I've still got the bump.
Yeah, I've still got the bump. And these kids now, 6 weeks off and it disappears. That's the difference. They speak up. They've got physios and people to take care of them. When you spoke up before, you're always frightened of missing the next game.
Missing the next game, missing the next training session.
And football is so psychological. If the coach thinks you're slightly injured, even myself, you'll never want to take off. But if he thinks you're carrying something, he'll take you off because you've missed a good chance. Not that you're injured, you've missed a good chance, and he thinks that because you're injured. So a lot of kids didn't speak up at that time,
So I did speak up, and we went to doctors, we went to hospitals, and I got diagnosed with growing pains.
All right.
So it wasn't a growing pain, it was oscular shatters, which has also now caused cartilage damage in my left knee, which I will be having surgery on soon.
I mean, the important factor is that I'm surprised that at your age now, there's not send you for an X-ray for all these problems to be detected.
We've done the MRIs. I've got a grade 2 tear on my meniscus, and that my whole left side has been damaged by oscars.
And if they'd listened to you in the first place, perhaps you wouldn't have carried on. They'd have taken the right steps. That's the difference, I think, as well. Was it with a professional football club? I'm going back. Let me just think now. I remember one of my players who plays for Palace. I shouldn't be calling name. I'll call him anyway. I remember a boy called David Chevelle. He went on to be the captain of Fulham youth team and so forth. I think when he was 12, he came and told me he had it. Got 6 weeks off, but he took it in his stride and he came back even stronger. But I always, through my own experiences, I always encourage children to have the time off. And so forth, because my life changed like yourself with injuries. At 15, I was playing for East London schoolboys in Barnes, and I broke my leg. And it's something your parents never even came to watch me, saying all these things can happen, and it happened to me. But the incredible thing is, football was great, and I've got to be honest. I was quite popular because I love football and cricket and all sports in general at school. So it made you reasonably popular. But breaking my leg is incredible. I became even more popular. Everybody felt sorry for me. Yes, can you imagine 15 years old and your bedroom is full of girls? Cakes, everything, everybody wants to visit you and all the rest of it. They're all signing your cast and all the rest of it, And to me, admittedly, on reflecting on that, it was better than football. Seriously, the attention, everybody coming in to visit you and all the rest of it. People who looked at you and you not know what they're thinking. All of a sudden they're phoning you, can I come round and visit, and all the rest of it and so forth. And trust me, it was better than football. But saying that, yeah, there's one kid who wound me up. Because, again, I love athletics, football, and I used to look forward to sports day. And I remember it was nearly 9 months before I could run again. So this thing happened in September. And by June, July, when sports day was coming around, they were taunting me, you're never going to be the same. You can't run again. And guess what? All that rest and all the training on this thing there, and it driven by people doubting you now. All of a sudden I was faster and stronger than ever. My thighs were massive, all the work I was doing and all the rest of it, yeah. I remember the ambulance used to come and pick me up, take me to the hospital for physio. When the ambulance was late, I struggled. I was on crutches and I struggled to go to the hospital on my own. I was so driven. And I tell all these boys when they're injured and everything, you work hard, you come back faster and stronger than before. And for yourself, if you do that as well, don't be surprised if you are stronger and faster and even fitter than you were before, if you work hard at it.
Can you give a few coaching tips for any aspiring coaches?
Well, I think the most important factor as well is to pitch your session for the correct level or standard of your group that you're coaching. That's really important. The time I've had to stop and saying, oh, this is just too high for them. See what their capabilities are, and then you do your session accordingly. Yeah, I mean, you'll get bright ideas and so forth. Yeah, but I think it's at the right level, and don't be afraid as a coach or even a manager to experiment a bit. I kid you not. I will kid you not, and I hope some of these lads maybe might be watching this. I don't know if you're keen on watching football. You see the way Man City plays?
Yeah, of course.
Where the centre-back goes up to the midfield?
Yeah, receives the ball
Seriously.
in behind the midfielder.
Seriously, yes. I did that 25 years ago. I told our left-back, yes, don't go as a wing-back. I want you to come inside, look to score goals. When we put one under pressure, arrive on time. So I got the most intelligent player to play that role for me. All of a sudden they're thinking, where's that extra man come from? You know what I mean, and so forth. But I'm saying don't be afraid to experiment as well, and so forth. Of course you want to win, yes, but sometimes experimenting really pays off. And this hit me. We played a semi-pro. When these lads I was telling you about, when they were age 17, they're now playing, yes, against teams like Crystal Palace. Because remember, I'm enjoying grassroots football now, yeah. And they were so good. Now all of a sudden they're playing in the FA Youth Cup against professional teams or semi-pro teams. And I remember distinctly we were playing against Havant and Waterlooville. I don't know if you know them, but they're a highly recognisable semi-pro team. Okay. I mean, they're playing at Anfield, their first team. And I remember one time, incredibly, at half-time, we were playing a home game and we were losing 4-1 at half-time. And I said to him, listen to me carefully. We're going to gamble. Yes, we have to gamble. And something we have to do is extraordinary. But we have to get people into that midfield, yeah, and provide our forwards with service and so forth. And we gambled where that person started going into the midfield. Two of them now started merging in the midfield when we put them under pressure. And from 4-1 down, we won 6-4. Oh, it's the greatest night of these boys' life, yeah? But you want to hear the story? You want to hear the rest of the story? We played in a place called Ladywell Arena. It's a lovely little centre, yeah? And I didn't know the rules. Even being in professional football. But the rules are, you have to have a hard surrounding, a professional pitch. or a semi-pro, when I say hard surrounding, it can't be grass. You've got to have concrete around it. So I can see it now. If people are coming from work and it's a bit muddy, you don't want these people in their heels and stuff, and whose mums standing in mud in their heels and stuff. You've got to have a hard surrounding. So their secretary, he knew all the rules, and he says, and he put in, was it like almost like an objection, and they won, where we had to replay the game because our ground did not fulfil the criteria of what it is to play in the FA Youth Cup, because we didn't have the hard surrounding. Yes, so we had to replay the match, and they thought somewhere along the line, to come back like that, we had to fiddle that match. One of our players, his name was Graham. He was a bit later, a little blonde guy, a little blonde boy, and he came on the pitch and he destroyed them. So they thought we played a ringer as well. So anyway, we had to play a rematch at their place, almost in Portsmouth. You know, all these little guys going down to Portsmouth, all the rest of it, in a proper semi-pro stadium. And the greatest day of their lives, the comeback was good enough. But to go back now, it's a grudge match, because they wouldn't accept it, that we've beaten them. And there's a grudge match, and we slaughtered them. We beat them like 6-1. You know what I mean? To show it wasn't a fluke. And those boys now, when they came around to see me, that's all they spoke about. That particular match, and how good it was. And I'm telling you now, they had some fantastic time, because we won tournaments in Torquay, and all of a sudden, February half term, we're in America playing football tournaments, because one leads to another, and so forth.
Another, it keeps going forward.
And I remember having to write to their schools, telling them how brilliant they are, to how allow them time off school to go and play football in America. For them, how good is that?
Brilliant. Get time off school and go and play football.
And that's the sort of thing my wife and I used to do for kids in our local community. Write to every head teacher describing what a brilliant opportunity this is, to allow them to take a week off school, to come with us, with me if you like, to go and play football. Can you imagine that? And every head teacher to a man saying, yes, it is a great opportunity. And again, this is something they'll never forget. And then you've heard of Ian Wright?
Yeah, of course.
He gave us some money to go. We wrote to him. He gave us some money to go, and I'm not sure if he knows this, but we took good care of the money. We went twice. Seriously, we took care of the money. We went twice.
What has been your worst and best experience as a football coach at Crystal Palace?
The best moment, I think, perhaps, is that kid I told you about. It was Crystal Palace, and that was a great experience when his mum's kept in contact and telling me how much progress he's made and so forth, and then and see his progress, which was fantastic. That was a great experience and so forth. And my worst experience at Crystal Palace, I should think, was especially in grassroots and professional football. They have a big conference, if you like. They have delegates from every professional or county or grassroots football met together in this massive place. There must have been 800 people there, And one of the strangest things, I was representing Crystal Palace, so a couple of Crystal Palace, the manager went, not the manager of the first team of our foundation, the teachers who were there, because you always have like a teacher at the academy, because these kids, you don't want to just that's it. They're looking to still take their GCSE and all the rest of it,
like a scholarship
type thing. So they're looking to take their GCSEs and so forth. If they're flopped, they try to give them some sort of education so they can fall back on. So teacher, at least 4 of us went. And this is one of the worst things. And I'm not afraid to speak up, if I'm honest. And I said to them on the way home, we drove in one car, obviously to save money. And I said to them, did anybody notice something strange at this place? Yes. And the teacher, obviously, a bit like me, they think about everything. The teacher says, Clarry, don't say anymore, I know exactly what you mean. And the manager and a couple of the other community type coaches are saying, well, what do you mean? What don't you say? What would you mean? I said, it's obvious. I was the only person of colour there. It is strange. There's so many of us in grassroots football and football. Why am I the only one there? It's strange. And what made it the worst thing ever, from being honest and the teacher being an intelligent person agreeing with me, all the rest are thinking I've got a chip on my shoulder for stating the obvious. It's not right. We've got thousands of people that look like me. Why am I the only one there? I'm not pleased that, yeah, man, that's cool. I'm the only one here, I've made it. It's not right. I'm not questioning it. Why am I the only one here that looks like me? That's not right. And it was hard for them to take, and even harder for me to take, that they didn't understand. And all of a sudden, typical Jamaican bloke got a chip on his shoulder. And I'm thinking, how can I have a chip on my shoulder? When I'm thinking, it's obvious thing to say that we all live in a society now, and in football, there's so many people that look like me, so many coaches. Where are they? Why haven't they been invited? I thought that was pretty low for me, yeah? And unfortunately as well, for me, sometimes you can't be yourself because all of a sudden you're the outsider. So to a certain extent now, I have to curb my natural instinct of speaking out when I think things are not right, because that was such a powerful message. All of a sudden I've got a chip on my shoulder, and the pain from all my colleagues and my mates are saying, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Why aren't you just happy being here? I'm thinking, that's not right. You know what I mean? And like I say now, I'm in a position where I can mentor children, and this leads me on to maybe racism and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't the world be a fantastic place if people don't have to say the colour of one's skin? You know what I mean? There was some thing on Netflix where my wife said, you should watch this. Brotherton, you've heard of Brotherton? It was a good Netflix production. Yeah, it was a bit sexy, but the incredible thing is, you had people like the Duke. He looked like me. The Queen of England looked like my wife, and I kept thinking, well, I'm keep waiting for something else to happen. Because they used to say, oh, he was the slave of this or the slave of that, but it didn't materialise. The colour of their skin didn't matter. The Duchess, the Duke, the Queen was just an actress playing a part, and the colour of their skin didn't matter. And I'm thinking, that's why that film, and I kept waiting for the catch line where they're going to say, oh, he came from slavery. Oh, this one came from Africa. Oh, this one is light-skinned, so she could be the Queen. It never happened. I can honestly say that all the posh people in there as well, they look like me, and it didn't really matter. It was just a story. And I'm thinking, it would be fantastic if life was like that. And I try to encourage children in particular, can we get round it by describing people without describing the colour of their skin? Yeah, it's so easy. Oh, the black bloke.